it was originally for my brother. So he got on the mat, and then I just was like dying to do it because I wanted to do everything that my brother does. And rugby and things like that. I just copy him and try and ruin everything that he loved. Um, but then I ended up getting really into judo. So then he quit, and then he got into rugby, and then I got kicked out of rugby for having breasts, essentially. And and yeah, then I just got really hard into it. Yeah.
So you got your black belt in judo. How do you make the transition to jiu-jitsu?
So the one of the people in my school, he was in my brother's year in school, called Brett Johns. He's actually in the UFC now. He also did judo, and he was in my school and in my brother's year and everything. And I saw that he was doing this cage fighting, and it's kind of like a term for a person from where I'm from is Swansea in Wales. You can ask Hal about that. And it's like a term that go around like a Swansea cage fighter. And I was like, oh my god, he's one of those Swansea cage fighters, and he like won this
That's
belt
a
in cage,
crazy
which was
name to
Cage Warriors.
have.
Yeah, but you'd call someone who's like a bit of a jippo like a Swansea cage fighter, during like or a cage fighter,
All
during
right,
like,
Swansea
and
cage
actually his
fighter.
nickname is Pikey.
Pikey, really?
And his yeah, which is that okay to say? I don't know. Well, it's on here now. I'm sure worse things have been said for people you've had on here,
Yeah,
We had
so it's
Orlando Sanchez
okay.
on here. Don't worry, you're
yeah.
safe.
Orlando Sanchez
I'm
got
PG then.
yeah. Big O got us demonetized on Twitter a couple weeks ago. So yeah, you'll be all right.
Okay,
Uh,
okay,
so
good.
Anyways, keep
I
going. I'm curious
want to hear
about this
yeah.
Swansea cage
Swansea
fighter.
cage fighter
Oh,
Pikeys is getting
so
good.
he was
Don't
doing
stop.
that. And I remember being on holiday with my parents when like we were younger, and it came up on screen like cage fighting. I was like, which was the UFC. I didn't realize, and we were like, "Oh, how rough, disgusting," and like turned away. And now my mother actually watches Joe Rogan and loves it, so it's quite ironic. Um, but yeah, I saw he had won this belt, and it was the Cage Warriors belt, and I was like, "Wow!" And he did judo, and then I heard about Ronda Rousey as well, and also a judo background, so it just made sense that after quitting judo, I was like, well, I wanted to do something that was similar, but I didn't want to go back into that scene because I don't know, like I didn't, I was really, really shy when I was young, like to a point where, not like just like a bit shy, but like I couldn't speak. Like I could, if you asked me a question, it would just be hard to say yes or no, which you wouldn't believe now. But yeah, like I couldn't, it was weird. I just couldn't speak. So like I didn't really have super close friends there. There were people who were nice to me, but like it's hard to make a close bond when one of us isn't responding. Um, so yeah, like so I didn't really want to go back to that where I kind of felt like I was like, yeah, I don't know, like just when you just feel like you're a nerdy child and you don't want to go back to feeling like that anymore. So yeah, I was like, I'm gonna get into that. I'm gonna be a cage fighter, and it's gonna be really cool. And I'd wanted to do boxing when I was younger, but they didn't let girls join because I don't know why women are not fans of women at the time. They still don't actually let girls in. I did ask before.
Really?
But
Even
yeah,
now? That's
so
crazy.
even now, yeah, I hope they've changed at this point. MMA, like around that time, I think I asked to go for a training session there, and they were like, "Girls don't go here." So I don't know if it was just that gym. I'm assuming it was. But yeah, so I started that, and the coach there, Chris, was like, "Well, if you want to do MMA, you have to do jiu-jitsu." And I was like, well, groundwork. And I hated Niwaza in judo. Absolutely hated it. And the number one way I would lose was getting juji rolled. So I'd turtle up, like they try and throw me, I'd turtle, and then they'd do a juji roll armbar,
Mm.
which is so funny now. And I just like, I never like addressed it. And we didn't really have no one was kind of like, oh, let's, maybe learn some groundwork. And like, still was like almost like that snobbiness towards jiu-jitsu in some way, like for some of the coaches. But like the main coach was actually, he's actually a jiu-jitsu black belt. And he was like, come to this gym and where we do Niwaza, basically. It's jiu-jitsu. I didn't know it was jiu-jitsu at the time properly. And I just never went, which is so steep. But I was happy to do stand-up, which wasn't like a huge issue. Like obviously I could definitely get way better, but the groundwork was the main issue, and I just didn't go. Like none of us did, and it was like if I'd started then, who knows? Like it could be really good by now.
I think you made up for lost time, but let's talk a little bit about MMA. So how long did you pursue that, or did you just start training jiu-jitsu and realize like this was your calling?
I did MMA for like the first 2 years, I think. I like went full time really, or like not full time, but as close to full time as possible. So like I was in college and I left college and then I went back to do like another course. I didn't really know what I wanted to do. And then I was working in a pub in the evenings to make money. And there's like hardly any time to train. And then college was on one day at the same time as jiu-jitsu and like all the MMA training. And like they would train all day. And I wanted to train with all them because that was cool. And I was like, well, I'll just stop going to college. Like it doesn't make sense. Like I don't actually want to go. So I'll just stop going, which I don't recommend to anyone. But I just kind of stopped going. I didn't tell my parents for a while. Um, and I'd work in the pub to make money. And then I would do jiu-jitsu and MMA, and I had a few fights. I had three amateur MMA fights, and I went pro, which is I don't know why. Who thought that was a good idea? I think there's just very few girls at the time, especially in the UK. So I went pro, which if I ever want to go back, this is going to be a nightmare. So I'll have to fight pro.
I mean,
Yeah.
did you
Well, I
have
mean, I would probably have to anyway. But
did you have a pro match, or did you? I mean, what
I
happened
did.
next?
I did indeed.
And that did
I,
not go
I had a
well,
pro
or
match. No, I won. I won all my fights.
okay, well, you
How?
made it sound like that was a mistake. You won the match. That's good.
No, but like, I can't strike. I don't. I think I landed one punch, and there's a photo of it. And I'm very
That's what
proud
counts.
of it. I was like, oh, close my eyes and just punch out. But yeah, like somehow, even with blue belt level jiu-jitsu, I would take them down and just Americana them. So yeah,
Okay, so
that
then you
worked
had a, you had
somehow.
how many pro fights did you have, and then when did you transition into primarily grappling?
I only had one pro fight, and that's when like I moved to Cardiff. So like I moved from the gym I was in Swansea with because my boyfriend was at the time was moving to Cardiff, and I moved with him. And then there was like hardly any MMA in Cardiff, so I was enjoying jiu-jitsu more anyway. And I was kind of like, I can revisit MMA when I have better jiu-jitsu and when I'm better all around because I was really aware that I wasn't very good, but I just hadn't been caught out yet. You know, I kind of got lucky with the matches I was having, or the fights matches, the fights I was having. I can call those fights. The fights I was having, I kind of knew that like from seeing other girls like in Europe or like the US and stuff in the UFC, I was like, what if I just somehow get pushed too far forward too fast? So I was like, I need to like get better first, and I was really loving jiu-jitsu. And then I heard there was like Nogi Worlds was coming up, and this is how little I knew about like jiu-jitsu scene. Was like I didn't know about the gi worlds, like I didn't know that was a thing. I'd went to Europeans, and I was like, that's cool, you know. um that was fun, nice trip. I didn't like know it was a big deal really. And then I went to Nogi Worlds. I was like, I want to go to Worlds, but there's only the Nogi one left this year, so I'll go to that. And when I won that, I was like, I want to go. I love jiu-jitsu. This is what I want to do. That's what I want to do. I don't want to do MMA anymore. I don't like getting punched anyway. I like a sport where I could punch them, but they can't hit me back. That would be ideal scenario. Um,
Didn't you post recently that you used a GoFundMe to get to that Nogi Worlds, correct?
I did. I'm not proud of that, but I did.
You said Gary Tonin hooked you up with a share and it gave you a little boost, right?
Yeah, it's actually such a funny story, and it's like so funny how small jiu-jitsu, not how small it is, but like how you just cross paths with people so early on. And like I was like a huge Gary Tonin fan, still am obviously, but like I I met him. Gianni Grippo did a seminar in the gym in Cardiff, and I was at work that night, and I was so devastated. And I was like, I knew enough to know that he was cool and really good at jiu-jitsu, but like that was it. And I knew like Gary Tonin and all them, and I was like, oh wow, they're so sick. And I was really into nogi, especially at this point as well, where I was like, I did both, but I like still kind of preferred nogi because it was just different to judo. And I finished work, and then I was like messaging some of the guys who were there, and they were like, they're still here, they're rolling, like run over and maybe you'll get a roll in. And I was like, okay, I'm gonna run to the gym, which was very far away actually. And I like ran over to the gym straight from work, and they were still there, and Gary rolled with me out of pity, which is really nice. And it's probably really smelly and like rained on, but he rolled with me. And then not long after that, and they were so lovely, like everyone who was there was really nice. I think it was like Gary, Gianni, was Aaron? Oh no, I think Gianni had actually gone, but like Gary was still there, and Eddie was there, I think. I think that's what was there. Yeah, and I rolled with Gary anyway, and I'm trying to remember the story. And then after that, anyway, he was really lovely. And then not that long afterwards, I like put up a thing about like going to Nogi Worlds, and then he ended up like sharing it, and then that got like people to donate more. And I really didn't want to set it up because I was kind of cringing. I was like, oh, I don't want to like beg people for money. But then like my friends are like, people who don't want to give you money just won't give you money. Like you're not mugging them. During like people who want to help will offer to help. And so I shared it, and then like loads of my friends donated, which I'm super grateful for. And that's how I ended up getting to that trip, because flying out to California from Wales is very expensive. And obviously I didn't have like sponsors and things who could pay for that at the time. So yeah, it was huge help, and just weird how you come across people so early on. But, yeah,
Lovely guy, Gary Tonin.
Thanks, Gary.
Yeah.
Except for the murdering with Corona. Not really, I'm joking.
So something I would be interested in is, you're from Wales, but then you ended up in Dublin training full time. How did you end up making that transition?
Okay, so my ex-boyfriend, he started up a gym in Cardiff, but he had a falling out with the first gym we were at. So he wasn't really under anyone. And then Dara did a seminar in Cardiff, where like we were living at the time. It was like the capital of Wales, the very unknown. Wales is a country, just so you know. It's not England, for anyone wondering. I just want to make that clear, because people think it's the same, but it's not. And that is deeply offensive to say. But anyway, so Dara came and did a seminar. I wasn't there. I was probably working, or I don't know. Maybe I was in Swansea. I don't know. Anyway, so Bryn, he met Dara there. So Bryn is my ex. And he met Dara there. And like, he started going out there to train because there was lots of really good guys, and he fought against a few of Dara's competitors. So he would go out there for training, and then I started going out there for training too. And that's how we got like close with Dara. And then Bryn ended up becoming an affiliate under Dara. And then when me and Bryn broke up, I moved out to Ireland, and it was just going to be temporary, just kind of like, to give each other space after a breakup, because like he was running the gym and I would be at the gym all day, every day. So it was kind of like, like kind of awkward situation. So I thought I'd like, I'll go out and do some training in Ireland. I had some money off the World Pro. So I got silver. So I won like a good chunk of money. And I was like, when I was out there and I was loving the training and I had such a great summer, and I was like, I'm just going to stay out here and just really go for it, where I'm not going to work. I'm not going to go back to working. I was working on the doors, like security in nightclubs at the time. So I decided I didn't want to go back to that because it's so depressing. Like, just drunk people are gross. And I just didn't want to work in that environment anymore. And I was like, I'm going to make a real go of this. And I knew that I was going to be coming into my black belt like quite soon, because I'd won worlds as a brown belt. So I knew that was going to come around, and I felt like Ireland was the best environment for me. And I really value having a good coach, and like, it's really hard to be coached by your boyfriend. You know what I mean? Like, and whereas in judo, I always had such memorable coaches, and I remember having like Neil Adams as my coach, and like that was such a good time, and I was really like doing well. And like in jiu-jitsu, you don't really have that so much. Like, you'll have like a competitor who's just kind of coaching to make money, like a lot of the time. And I don't fault that. Like, that's just how it is. And like, I guess you could put Dara in that box, but he really goes above and beyond for people. And just like how much he helped me, like when I moved out there, like he let me stay in his spare room. And then when he couldn't like accommodate me, because he has a lot of people over to come and help training, I went and stayed in his mother's spare room. So like really helped me out, and like for free of charge, so that I could get on my feet and start to make money like from seminars and things and afford my own place. And yeah, like he'd really coach, if that makes sense, and not just show techniques. And that really attracted me to the environment. And there's so many people who are doing the same thing as me. Like I've been surrounded by people who were amazing friends, but I mean, like weren't going to the tournaments. I go to Worlds, and I'm going to the Worlds like twice as a purple belt, and it was like on my own. One was with just a friend who just happened to be going there too. And then like I went, and Dara was there, but like I wasn't like part of the team really at the time, but he like coached and stuff. So he'd always be at major events coaching me, but I just wasn't at his gym getting coached, if that makes sense.
Absolutely.
That was a long talk.